What's going on, guys? YB here. I'm going to be covering today's watch list. I've created the watch list already, so I want to go through the watch list quickly just in case if I don't have time before the stream starts today. So what I usually do is I'll come down to start my stream at around 8 a.m. EST and do the watch list then, and then go over the watch list, what I think should be interesting and what my thought process is on those watch lists. But today I'm doing it differently. I'm trying to create a watch list and then talk about it in a bit more detail maybe. And then we'll just concentrate on the trading part of it, on those specific stocks. So this video is going to be mostly about just talking through the watch list that I'm going to be trading today. Now, if you didn't know, if you're watching this video for the first time, I always do this every single day, which is basically create a watch list and then talk through what the plans are for those stocks in the list, right? I'm trying to sort of get you to understand a routine and a preparation for the open, right? So I'm trying to do as much as I can to get myself prepared for every scenario on the list. Whatever I'm watching, I should be able to know what I'm going to do if this happens, if that happens, right? All the scenarios played out. That's why I like to cover these in a bit more detail. So I start streaming live on YouTube at 8 a.m. EST, 8 a.m. every single day, unless it's Friday. Fridays I don't stream. So Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. EST, you can find me here on YouTube live streaming. Okay. So with that being said, let's go over the main ticker, which is the market. We're going to talk about SPY. All right, let's go. Now, here we have our SPY's daily chart, guys. We're going to be discussing mostly daily chart today on the watch list, okay? So now, the more important bit here is the medium term trend line is to the downside, right? It has been to the downside. It has been trending down quite choppily, if that's the word, if there's such a word. But anyways, it's been weak overall, right? For almost more than a year, actually. Now, the reason why things are shifting is, I'll give you a few clues here. Things are shifting to the upside, in my opinion. A lot of people are saying, oh, there is going to be a crash and stuff like that. But that's a different topic altogether. But I want to show you what I think and why I think SPY is holding strong and is actually gearing up probably for an uptrend, for a decent uptrend. So first clue, let me just get my marker here. Bear with me, guys. Let me get my marker. All right, so here we go. Okay, so first clue, right, about, if I can just, so this low here, as you can see, this day, if I can mark this thing up, you see this day with a decent, really good volume. This day was among, if you look back for this whole trending down environment, we kind of didn't have this day at all. All right, we didn't have anything like this with really good volume. So that's your first clue. Now, it's not confirmed. It's still at the bottom of the trend. Anything could have happened, but after this day, we had 3-4. After a week, we started to gain some momentum to the upside. As you can see, why do I say gaining momentum to the upside? Well, we are seeing green candles bigger than the red candles. That's usually the sign that momentum is slightly shifting. So that's another clue for you, right? So as you can see, green candles being continuously stronger than red candles. So we're barely seeing any red candles here. So if you overall generally look at this whole move is one continuous movement to the upside, and then we had small pullback, right? So that's what I mean. The momentum has shifted. Now, we had some really strong red days as well, but just remember, it actually never could take out the low here, right? It couldn't take out the low. So, and then it started to gain momentum to the upside again. We had another low that it couldn't take out at all, even with this massive pullback that we had from the upper part of the trend line. So this trend line is coming from the highs of the year, which is, I'll go back to the highs, but this trend line is quite strong and it's been respecting quite a lot. The price has been respecting it. So we had the rejection here, not much to do. It didn't go further beyond, but over here, breaks it, fake breakout, and in fact gaps over it and then completely reverses back inside the trend line and continues to push down. So everywhere you go, everyone was talking about after this, we are seeing a crash. The market is crashing because it's reversing from the trend line, but hasn't really confirmed anything, right? So I was waiting, okay, well, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks after this crash, and then this happens, all right? So we had another swing low that didn't get, what? Taken out. So what does this tell you? Well, price action basically is telling you that SPY might be stronger than you think. SPY is trying to probably tell you something that I am staying high, I am staying strong, although there might be some mishaps, but I'm still going to try to take out the trend line, those crucial levels, which is 400 and 410s. So that's why I think SPY is reversing, and let's delete those. So now we have this trend line create. I mean, I'm not too much of a crazy person about trend lines. I like to show it. It's more visual, but I don't need this trend line to see what's going on. But for educational purposes, for people to understand it well, that's why I draw it. So this trend line goes to the swing low. As you can see, look at this higher highs, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. That's usually the sign that that stock or that specific stock is trying to climb higher. Okay, it's gearing up for it basically. And then we had that breakout of this congested area and then continued to go for that 400 level. We did spend quite a few days trying to take out that 400, reversed from it, not too far. As you can see, we created another shorter term upward trend line and a shorter term, very sharp trend line that it actually is still respecting, and it hasn't taken that out. So that still tells me, yes, SPY is pushing higher and higher and getting ready for maybe finally taking 400 and 410s out. Now, why do I keep on mentioning 400 and 410s? Because those are the levels that's holding SPY back. And if it does break that, there's no technical area where we can say, oh, SPY is still in that big downtrend slope, right? It's actually gonna break the bigger picture structure completely, all right? So if that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what will. But that 400 breaks and it holds, that's my clue. I'm going to be mostly long biased. Swing trading ideas will start to work. Finally, we might start to see some sort of a momentum to the upside. We might. It's never guaranteed, guys. So it's always the other scenario could be also played out, which is the reversal coming in from there. Now, that's why I'm going to keep the 2 or 3 scenarios on SPY. One is, as you can see, recent day yesterday was attacking that 400. Actually, yesterday gapped down big time. So everybody's like, okay, this is going to go down because it's perfect. It's rejected from the trend line. It's going to take out this low level here, 390s, 395s, which it tried to do. I'm not going to lie, it tried to do yesterday, but it really bounced up strong and continued to stay strong throughout the day after midday, and it closed very, very strong, close to 400 levels, which is what I like to see. And today I am going into the market thinking, well, SPY has closed strong. Overall picture is reversal coming into SPY. So we might still be looking into SPY as a longer term, long or bull market kind of in a way. So as long as 400 and 410 gets taken out. So coming into today, what I'm going to be doing is when it comes to larger caps, which is correlated to SPY, I'm going to be watching SPY. If SPY starts to take out that 400, in fact it did, and it's still trading over 400, and if that's the case, in that stays the same at the open, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be only looking for longs, and that's it for the big caps, Apples, your Teslas, and your Nvidias. I'll find the relative strength stocks on those and then start looking for longs on that. That's my plan. Now, the second scenario that you should always have in mind is and plan for it. What happens if it doesn't? What happens if your plan doesn't go through? So in this case, 400, it goes beyond 400, it goes lower than 400, takes out 400 to the low side and stays below it. So in that case, I'm not going to be shy on looking for shorts as well. Why? Because it still hasn't taken out that 400 completely and left it behind. That also means that we could still see some more weakness coming into it if we start to see 400 get taken out and doesn't hold, right? So that's the second scenario I'm gonna be looking or keeping my eye on. Now, the third one is basically a lot of times, as you saw, after these kind of moves, we might see some inside bar days, which is very, very hard to trade, very difficult to trade. So if I start to see a lot of chop coming in, I'm going to be expecting between on and off of 400 levels. I'm going to create my zones, create my levels. If those zones doesn't get taken out, then I'll say to myself, you know what, we are on the third case scenario, which is SPY is in the chop, right? Then I'm going to try to stay on, not trade at all, basically, these big caps, and just sit on my hands unless the crucial levels on that intraday gets taken out, right? So that's the plan. Now I know on big caps or large caps what I need to be doing, what I'm looking for, right? And that's pretty much the basic of it. There's more to it, obviously, but I'm trying to keep it simple for you guys to actually get some idea of what sort of routine or what sort of things you should be looking at. Create always scenarios in your head or write them down. For me, I created I remember them clearly, as I've been doing this for years and years, and in fact decades. For me, it's kind of mental thing, but if you want to write them down, SPY this level, it needs to hold, otherwise the second scenario, this scenario. If scenario 1 happens, then what? If scenario 2 happens, then what? You need to write them down, and then when those scenarios are playing out, you look at your notes. Oh, okay, you know what? I actually did this pre-market where I didn't have any bias. Market weren't even trading at this time. So I'm going to stick to these notes. Why? Because I was neutral. I didn't have any emotional attachment to these notes, right? And that's why you want to keep it way before you trade, or you want to make notes before you start trading. Anyways, so without we've gone too far on this, guys. I think video is going to be too long, but and bear with me. I'm going to go through the other watch list that I have. We've got our Mara, Riot, Coin, all of these crypto names. We want to make sure that we keep an eye on them because we have seen Bitcoin running. We have seen Bitcoin slightly moving. Let me show you why I say that. Just bear with me a minute. Okay. I'm trying to get the trading view to work for me. Hopefully it is. Here we go. Okay, so this is trading view. You can use any chart. Bitcoin's chart on a daily, right? These are daily chart. As you can see from these areas, as you can see, the curl up reversal pattern happened, and then we started to see a lot of volume coming in, and it's just starting to create that momentum, taking out key levels from here, from there, and starting to trade over those key levels, right? So when Bitcoin is going to run like that, That means these stocks that are related, crypto stocks, which is Mara, Riot, your coin, COIN, they are all going to be in play. Basically, they're going to create some nice ranges, some nice momentum, nice trending environment for you to take advantage of. That's why I'm keeping Mara. Okay. Now, if I'm going to be trading Mara, I must keep, well, I usually keep an eye on the Bitcoin itself, right? Just in case Bitcoin starts to do something crazy, then I can take an advantage of Mara or Riot. All right. So that's why I'm keeping Mara. ALLY, I have been watching this for a while. It gaps up 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago. It gaps up and stays strong and never actually attempts to even fill the gap, right? So that's the first sign of clue that it is extremely strong. The catalyst behind the gap up is quite strong, which is earnings beat, and it carries on staying strong. It still shows strength by just pulling back 1 day after this big move and then continuing to show strength yesterday as well by closing very strong. Now, obviously, SPY might have something to do, a little bit of influence on this big green day, but still, nevertheless, is quite strong, and the catalyst quite strong as well behind this whole move. We might see more push to the upside coming into this. So on ALLY, I am long biased. I'm looking for second day continuation pattern on the break of 32.66. Yesterday's close is quite important. Keep an eye on yesterday's close on ALLY. If it stays above that, again, we will start to look for long opportunities on ALLY. And we've got our W. W is also very similar to ALLY, but the catalyst isn't as strong as ALLY. But still, nevertheless, yesterday I was a bit short biased on it, to be honest, and there were some opportunities on it. And but it reclaimed it. It reclaimed the fact that it reclaimed like this. We might see some sort of a push coming in, or we might actually see some sort of a choppy environment on ALLY. But nevertheless, these are still in stock. These stocks are still in play. I can't even talk. Why? Because look at the volume rising, guys. Something has changed. Fundamentally, something has to change for this to be doing this much volume. You see these volumes, right? Just go off topic here quickly just to understand. Right, look at the range of the volume here and look at the range of the average volume here, right? So that in itself is a clue. Something has changed in this stock. Anyways, and our range, quite a big range coming in. So there's more opportunities. If you take a trade, the chances of you getting multiple R's are quite high on these kind of stocks. That's why you want to have them. So they are, these are $56 stock. This one specifically is under $10 million, which is fine. I don't like to look at anything under $20 million if the stock is under $10 or $5 because they can be very illiquid. That's why you want to pay attention to the volume as well. W I'm keeping for possible continuation to the upside. COSM as well has been doing some runs. Volume picks up, some range coming into it as well, and is still holding its move from 3s all the way to 7s. So yes, there's a lot of pressure from the upside. I wish I could say that this very strong. It's not a very strong looking chart, but the potential could be there if it starts to take out that 7. For me, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that 7. If it does clear above that, starts trading above it, then looking for longs. But if it starts failing off of that or even 6s, then we could see a big day on this one to the downside. So I'm looking for both sides on this one. Long or short, I don't mind. I'm just going to wait for that price to tell me what it wants to do. So COSM is on the list as well. Sorry about that. So AFRM, yesterday I traded this. I want to show you what I did. AFRM was yesterday short biased for me. Gaps down, very strong, very weak previous day, and then yesterday was also a really weak day, which is a gap down, a continuation. Let me show you what I mean by that. This is our intraday. So here I started shorting this. My average was about 1333. Yesterday I showed it on the chat or on the stream live when I was taking these trades. I was showing it and mentioning the trade happening. So if anybody took this, props to them. So we took short here, 1333, partialed out here. If I can just mark these. So entry was here, partial, and what I did was, as it started to reject from that VWAP, which I was kind of expecting because it was a big level here. A lot of levels were around here, as you can see, a lot of lines, a lot of daily levels or intraday levels as well, and plus the VWAP obviously, and the rejection was quite strong, as you can see. I would have liked to be entering or re-adding here a little bit higher, but nevertheless, I waited for a bigger confirmation, which this was the one, and then I added here. And to be honest, on this one, I left the stream after this, and I put my range orders either at my bottom full out on the position gets taken out, or my stop gets taken out, which at that point was on my initial entry. My original stop was here somewhere. So it was trading around here. So later down the line, when I checked the platform, it took the whole thing out for a really decent trade. As soon as it takes my 1290 final exit out, it just goes and reverses on us, which was a great trade. So AFRM, I'm still keeping it. Why? Because the fact that yesterday showed weakness and a few days ago it was very weak, we still had a very strong close today. So that's why I am going to be keeping an eye on it. It is doing opposite of what I think it was to do. So it's interesting that it actually pulled back to the 50 level, 50 EMA, and actually bounced off of it to the tick and closed very strong. So on this one, I'm going to be possibly looking for long opportunities, a bit long biased on this, especially at the break of 14s. And if it holds that 14, then we will still consider this to be quite strong. Okay, so I'm going to be very careful taking shorts on this one, to be honest. Yeah, only possible long opportunities. All right, so that's AFRM. Let's look at PACB. I added it today because we had a strong day yesterday and also bounced off of the 20 EMA. And we are seeing some decent move coming into it as well. If you look at that, and we are seeing higher lows, bigger swing, higher lows as well. And we are seeing some momentum coming into it. Now, we might still have the strength to continue to the upside, at least hitting that 1240s, maybe 1250s, those levels, which is far enough from what is traded or where it closed, 1165s. Again, with these kind of stocks, when they close very strong, guys, you want to pay attention to the close level very seriously. Very importantly, close is the driving factor for its direction next day. Why? Because let's say, for example, it goes down below the close. Let's say it gaps up 1185s, 12s, and then goes down. That's usually the stock being gone from basically green to red if it goes under the close. And similarly, if it gaps down and starts taking out the close, that goes from that day from red to green. Those are quite strong concepts, guys. You have to follow. So that's why pay attention to the close of previous day and decide my plan according to that. One of the reasons I do my planning is because of the yesterday's close. It's that important, guys. So pay attention to the close. As you can see, we do have some decent levels on the closed area as well. So this makes it much stronger. 1165, 1165, 1165, 1165. So all of these extreme levels happened on 1165. So what does that tell you? It's a much stronger level to pay attention to. So that's what I'm going to do on PACB. 1165 is the level. Takes it out, starts trading above it. I'm going to be looking for longs. And if it does fail off of it, then we could also mean, it could also mean that we might be getting into a chop. We're still not ready to take the highs out, right? So that's PACB. And we've got our COF, very similar to PACV, but this is much stronger. Why? Because we have a, this whole move is because of earnings, I believe. Let's have a look. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it's because of earnings. When we do see a yes, it's because of the earnings move. It probably is the guidance that drove it like that. But nevertheless, we are seeing a strength coming in because of a strong catalyst on this stock. So we should pay attention to that. Now, what am I looking at on this one? I'm looking at, because it's moved quite a bit as well from 104s all the way to 116s, and we've got a very strong level at around 118s. That's the level I'm watching. Originally, I'll be honest, I'm going to be, if it stays close to the close of yesterday, then I'll be a bit long biased towards that 118. But I'm not going to hold it very like long term, as in I'll be probably scalping it towards 118. And then I want to see what happens around the 118 area. Does it take it out? Does it start to reverse? Does it show sign of weakness around that area or sign of rejection? If that's the case, I don't mind shorting at the highs of that close to the 118s. For possible bigger pullback or even reversal. Now, that trade is one scenario. Second scenario obviously would be that this doesn't take out the yesterday's close and starts to drift down. Then it could either mean that it's a chop. We're going into a maybe an inside day after this big day. Usually happens. And if that's the case, we have to be careful taking trades on it. Sit on your hands would be a better idea. But also we could also see some bigger red candle coming in because of higher profit taking from this day. All right, so those all scenarios you need to be playing out. COF, that's the plan with COF. WBD, Warner Bros. This one basically is also gaining momentum, as you can see. Nice reversals and trading over the VMAs, unless 200 EMA. 200 EM is very close to the close of yesterday, which makes it very interesting because that level is quite important to pay attention to now. Again, we will have a level yesterday's high. We will have a level at 1460s. This is the zone we need to be paying attention to. So if this doesn't get taken out, if this zone doesn't get taken out, in fact, we have 15 over that. So I'm thinking this one is going to try to sort of push towards that zone and maybe even 15s, and then maybe we will get some rejection coming in from there. All right, because the levels are quite strong. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to hold guaranteed. No, it's not. It's not guaranteed at all. If it starts to take out this zone and starts hovering around 15s, it might take the 15s out and go for another second day potential run to the upside. So we need to keep our options open on this one, specifically on this one. So I'm not very strong biased on this one. I would like to be long biased. I would like to take some longs on it, especially if SPY starts to show strength, then I'll probably be looking for longs. But if we start to see weakness, then we will start to look for shorts on this one as well. That's why I kept it, because there's a range happening in it. It's basically in play. Now, GNS, we have been, a lot of people have been looking at this, GNS. So it moves from 0.50, sub dollar prices all the way to, in 3 days, around the highs of 625s. We're talking almost 1,000% move. And I like to think these things hold. They don't usually. All right, you've got to be honest. Any stock to move thousands of percentages, the fundamental has to change extremely drastically, right? Which I haven't seen for years any company do. These are mostly pumps, right? We are talking a lot of social media and all that news, all the rumors and all that drives these prices up. And then we see a big, massive profit taking coming in, which was second day. But surprisingly, it held the third day and it actually squeezed a lot of shorts and ended up strong. But I still see a lot of weakness on this, a lot of heaviness. As you can see, these topping tails is a sign that a lot of pressure is being pushed down. The price of the stock is getting pushed down and down as it tries to squeeze again. So does it have the characteristics of another squeeze? Yes, it does, because it could get a lot of people in trouble, especially short sellers, thinking that this has a lot of pressure from the upside. A lot of people are shorting it, so they're constantly shorting this thing and they're getting trapped. Okay, so if we see a lot of short sellers getting trapped, this could squeeze, yes. But the probability of that happening compared to it continuing down at least for a bigger red day is less. I'm thinking this will continue to give us some decent opportunities for the sell side, for the short sell side. So I'm looking for short selling on this one only, especially under 4. I'm going to be looking for shorts on this. All right. But bearing in mind that 4 could be the level where we need to, it's probably the line in the sand, basically, 4 level. It does take that, it takes that out. It's going to show weakness. We might see drift off, and there's a huge level, huge room for it to go down, right? So I would rather take short on this one than to long it, because longs with these kind of moves is not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. I would rather take the advantage of a very pumped price action than be on the side of the dump on the short side. All right. So that's the GNS, guys. That's the whole list that I covered. I know it's going to be very long video. I'm not going to cut any of it. So if I have said something that didn't make sense to you, please ignore it. Come to the stream and ask me questions why I said that, and I'll see you guys in the stream. Now, the only thing I would say is I as you can see on my gaps list, there's nothing, because we haven't got the gaps yet. It's still early here. We're talking about 3:45 a.m. EST. I'm making this video now for today. Anyways, if you're going to be trading with us, great. Come down, trade with us, and see what we do. If you like, stay and chat around. There's some really sort of interesting people in the chat, and they are very committed to trading. Day traders, all of them. And let's hit it from there. And I wish you the best of luck for the day. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the stream at 8 a.m. EST. All right, be there.